Welcome to the Cosmic Astrology Forecast with myself, Optiks Hamilton, from optikshamilton.com. That's OPTIKS Hamilton.com, with the fantastic, extraordinaire tarot reader, Zena Edwards.
Hello, nice to see you. It's been a while.
So, yeah, it's been a while. We've been away with the Cosmic Astrology Forecast for a while. Busy with life. Life's affairs just dominate. The people don't understand how much goes into this podcast, in terms of the prep and the article that goes with it, and the work it takes. So, it's fortunate when we can commit to doing it, and we decided we're going to recommit to doing it. We're going to do it different though. Now we're going to do a new moon and then the full moon. So instead of us having extensive, long podcasts, we break it up a little bit, where we'll do the new moon, and then we'll do the full moon a few days later, 14 days later or so. So with that, there's a lot going on. We are in the we are still feeling the cosmic strength of the rays from the Great Conjunction, the Saturn conjunct, or Jupiter conjunct Saturn, the Great Conjunction. There's never been a conjunction like this in 800 years, because it's been exact. And we're in a new cycle in the era of Aquarius, which we've been in Aquarius for a lot longer than people actually know or anticipate. It's a gradual phasing into the age. It doesn't happen, one day after another like that. So, but we're already deep into the Aquarius age in that sense. A few hundred years from me and other astrologers' calculation. But the point I'm trying to make here is that basically what we're going to do is talk about this Great Conjunction a little bit. It's the feminine and masculine side to do with wisdom, universal law. The apex, Saturn is about a summit, reaching your goals, your targets through great difficulty. The practicalization, or what you make practical, and about what it is that you actually grow, you have faith in, you are learned in. That's with Jupiter. And then Saturn is about what you plan for, what you have worked hard for. But it's in Aquarius, so it's about group dynamics, the group, the sense of your community, your tribe. Your network is your net worth. Your vibe, your tribe is your vibe. It's about who it is that you want to grow with, and who it is that you see as reflective of your sense of community. It can be humanity on a bigger scale. However, how much can you determine and how much can you actually affect as well too, is what you have to consider in that regard. So what's even extremely unusual and unique about this phase is that we got six planets. Got to go back to school to learn how to count again. 6 planets in Aquarius, right? And we haven't had 6 planets in Aquarius for 59 years. So from 1962, we had 7 visible planets, the traditional planets in Aquarius. Now we've got 6 visible planets, or 6 traditional planets in Aquarius, which is highly, highly, highly unusual. So there's a strong energy and focus of this Aquarian energy, the quickening. We're calling it the quickening. Yes. So lots of things have been happening in the group and group dynamics. I know for me, and I know for you as well, Zena.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting what you're saying about how do we make our relationships practical. I think the quickening in its own right, the way my simple brain understands the quickening is that with this new consciousness that's coming in with that the Aquarian energy, the air sign, the quick download of information, the inventiveness, the analytical, but still with the humanitarian aspect. All of that information coming at us very, very quickly. We've got to start making our interactions with others as practical as possible with the onset of the COVID and lockdown. Like, how are we staying connected with people? What kind of tensions are we going to be experiencing? You know, the whole idea of us not being able to touch each other, be close to each other in that respect as well. We're starting to realize the value in that, the value in our closeness in terms of just physical proximity with others, and how that is a bonding and a bonding medium, the bonding medium. So we're having to make sure that we're using our words in the right way, that we're communicating on a level that that transmits our connection and our care for others. So the tribe thing is really going to manifest itself or come about through our connections via the internet. How we are going to be working hard. There's going to be a lot of emotional hard work as well. I think with Aquarian energy, it's quite, like I said, it's quite analytical, so it's up in the head quite a lot. I'm a Gemini, so I can go to that space quite comfortably. But for some people, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be, I feel, a battle between the head and the heart at this point right now. And what we believe is right, where our heart tells us to go and where our head tells us to go in terms of the constructs that we know and understand for the last, 300-400 years of, capitalistic, consumerist, materialist kind of social societal structures, and they're all coming crashing down now. We're seeing that those structures just don't serve our humanity anymore. So this is why it's going to be the constructs that we know in conflict with what our heart wants to do, which is reach out and connect with others.
What is interesting that you talked about Taurus. I mean, touch. Can't touch each other, and we are separated from each other. Because touch here is there's a lot of conflict between Taurus and Aquarius. So these are two fixed signs, and they're squaring one another, meaning that there's tension, there's conflict, there's friction. It's 90 degrees here in astrology, that between any sign in the mode. So they are two fixed signs. So it's extremely kind of rigidity, stubbornness. And it's kind of like what you do in this moment is important, because it's about setting something up in motion that is fixed as well, initiating something with the new moon energy that is fixed, that is to do with your advancement, your look, and your direction towards the future. But it's also like to do with the group economics, and with the 6 planets we have in the sign are the great conjunction. So we have Saturn, we have Jupiter, we have Venus, and we have Mercury, and we have the moon and the sun. So we have 6. So Saturn, like I said, is about the structuring. It's also about wisdom as well. The wise friends, you know, it's the elder friends who you go to for knowledge and wisdom. So it's a good time to learn from an elder with Saturn in Aquarius, and then Jupiter there, and that amplifies, you know, the sense of learning in a collective, and building collectives, and being steadfast with those who you have a core sense of a philosophy or a doctrine of a quest. It's like you and your tribe are going on a quest, and you're building what that quest represents. You're building structures around it. It can be community turning into governments. It can be people's deciding that they don't want no part of how things is structured. And because it's this tension between Uranus, which rules Aquarius, and Saturn, it's this the group shared values, group economics, bringing and forcing modes of um, 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 working out what those shared values, how can they bring about economic kind of prosperity as well, but through some kind of tension, that you're going against the grain, but you're steady and you're focused, and you're in it for the long term, and you're the bumps and the scrapes and the knocks, you are steadfast. Those things are kind of important. With Venus there, Venus, people who are born with, say, Venus in Aquarius, they tend to have like, if it's a woman who has Venus in Aquarius, she'll tend to have a lot of men friends, usually more men friends than women friends. Because Aquarius is the androgynous sign, right? So it's like you valuing your friends, but because Mercury is there in the sign, you're the friends that you have for long, even for long standing time, all the friendships is coming under audit, because Saturn is there. Saturn is about auditing, structuring or restructuring groups, group dynamics, coming under audit. Also, you know, the social networks and everything like that is all in turmoil in terms of government restrictions and rules and coming to regulate. And there's a lot of rebellious angst, and we got a lot of tension between those two planets in Taurus and all of the 6 planets in Aquarius. So it's an unfolding story, and some of these planets, they're going back, they were significant and key to the pandemic starting. And this square that we're having there, the Mars squaring the Saturn and the Jupiter, those 3 planets was in the initiating energy cosmically to do with unfolding of the pandemic, with Pluto involved. So this is this first square of that pandemic, if you like. So that Mars is bringing conflicts around issues to do with pandemic. I don't like using that word, but
why don't you like using it?
it's a buzzword, you know. I hate these buzzwords because they're all conditioning and programming, you know, all ways of creating a particular response, and what it's associated with, and so on and so forth. So, you know, nothing can stop life. Life is for living. Nothing can't stop life. You have viruses for how many years? There ain't nothing new. So what else is going on? So these 6 planets in Aquarius, there's a lot of focus in the sign. So let's look at the transits. So straight off, what's happened just before the new moon? Friendships that got rocked for a period of time, especially relationships that got rocked with that long transit of Mars in retrograde until just at the end of the year in 2020, in December 2020, started to ease up some tension. But the sudden ending in relationship breakups that manifested, and also relationships that kind of like friends with benefits, those were difficult as well. A lot of those came to an end and suddenly as well. And also, you know, the Venus is about what we value. So it's about valuing what are the friendships that we value. And there's a lot of old friendships that has come back, that has been reassessed in terms of, yeah, we did really value that person, or they've, as a ghost that's come back to the past, that may not necessarily be welcome. And there's a sense of possessiveness around that friendship as well, in terms of them not being able to give up the ghost, if you like, the ghost of yesterday past. So that's the underlying theme. As soon as we enter this new moon phase,
I think what's interesting, I mean, what we know and love about new moons is that they're asking us to like go deep within and ask what it is that we really want. This is the subconscious calling for attention, and we're feeling it at a heightened way. It's not the same as a full moon, but this is the way that the new moon really is an opportunity for stillness and quietness, to go within and work out what it is that you want. I think when it comes to relationships, we have an opportunity to sort of start afresh. I've pulled the Six of
light. Let me see it.
Six of Swords here.
Mm-hmm. That's better. I can see it better there.
Yeah, up close. It's a really nice set of cards, but the Six of Swords is always on. It's always on water. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, it's always on water. It's always about reprieve, relief, rescue from a lot of mental activity that's conflicts, arguments. That's more of a sort of mental jousting. You know, some of the words that are said can be quite spiteful, can be mean. There's a mean-spiritedness about it, just to kind of win a battle over a battle of wills more than anything. But there can be some quite cutting words that have been said. And I think with this card, and I pulled this with this card with the Venus card, Fiery Venus. It's really interesting. Card, I love this deck of cards. But being able to put to rest the needs to beat people through words, to win something through words, there's a kind of like putting that to rest now, and really going within and working out exactly what it is that's important. And the subconscious is calling. Everybody, I think, in some ways just wants to have peace in their lives, you know. So this is the time for that to be happening. So it's really interesting when you're saying that people coming back from the past, or even if they don't actually physically come back into your life, you can lay to rest some of the arguments have happened in the past. That's the sense that's the energy that can come in with a new moon when you do some like deep internal work, and just meditate on like, what is it I really want? Is it worth carrying these grudges around? Is it worth it? Was it worth saying those things?
Well, you talk about cutting words. Well, Venus is squaring Mars. Earlier today, actually, the day before the new, well, we're broadcasting this the day before the new moon, or we're recording this. So today, the day before the new moon, Venus is squaring Mars. So I was scrolling my timeline, and there's just people just exiting out of Facebook because they just had enough of the argument and the bickering and the fact that this is a great opportunity to kind of bring things together, and then humans got in the way of a potential to do good, or to connect thoughts and ideas and expand each other's awareness, or bring some positive aspect of your world into their world through just sharing the good things and the positive things and the achievements, and instead of this, it's just like nonsenseless, animalistic shit. You know? Because I was even talking to a friend of mine, and she was just telling me these mad things that happen in the group. And for me, I have no idea, because it's just like, I don't put anything on. So I use it, actually, I try and use it just to agenda whatever it is that I want to happen in the future, because it's to do with, you know, what is knitting us together, or what are you sharing, or what energy is given attention to, could be something that can propel you into the future, or propel other people into the future. But instead of that, it's being used in the wrong way to put down others, to lord over others, to use others, to take advantage sexually of others. All of these things are prevalent in what's going on right now, and all of these things, people are just starting to, I don't want to be part of this anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Facebook or some of these other social media, Twitters or whatever, their shares is just on yep, on the bear, going down. But you know, so that's all interesting stuff in terms of what you're saying about the sharp words there, because that's prevalent, definitely prevalent at the moment. So another thing that is prevalent before the new moon start there as well is the fact that the figurehead of a group, the Sun square Mars, happened a few days ago, like 7-8 days ago. So the figurehead of a group came under some kind of attack from some other agenda, man. You know, and it's kind of hard to resist or hard to let go. And it's a kind of new energy as well that's coming, a new energy that's probably coming to the group. So that's noticeable, because it's causing some bickering and some tension within what it is that you've built and structured and stuff like this. Another thing that's weird is Aquarius is a sign of divorce.
Frozen my side.
We're still going here. It's frozen? Yeah, it's unfrozen.
Okay, you're back. Okay.
So
Yeah, carry on.
Aquarius is a sign of divorce. Um,
Okay.
and we have Valentine's in this time.
Mm-hmm.
So because Aquarius is a sign and to do with detachment, and Aquariuses are known to be aloof and unemotional and unsensitive, and I mean, and those are not things that bode well in terms of your head ruling your heart, or you, or being logical about emotions, when emotions is not logical. It's just about how you feel, and being instinctual around how you feel, and being able to feel vibrations, necessarily not without having to rationalize what, who, where, how, and why. Um so so that's interesting here with why is Valentine's in Aquarius? It don't why is it? It should be in Libra, but it should be in Leo. Leo rules the heart, and Libra is about your affection and what you attract. So and balance, right? So why do we have it there? So so that's something that's interesting. Just a pondering a question.
I think what the issue might be with the sun in Aquarius,
Mm.
and people really wanting to assert themselves, assert who they are.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be an impatience, I think. Already if you think about, people want the new normal, or they want to go back to the old normal, or they want the new normal to just hurry up and be here, but they want the new normal to look like the old normal, which means that people are like, when you think about how many people are coming into new entrepreneurship using the internet,
Mm.
people are like earning incomes differently. People are setting up their own businesses. I can't tell you how many artist friends are using other mediums, other modes of creativity to back up their income from their work not being cut. So, a friend, she's a poet. Her and her sister are now doing yoga classes online, and she does writing so that people unlock, after they've done a yoga session and their body is unlocked, they unlocking other parts of their sort of emotional selves, or their sense of life purpose and who they are, through writing straight afterwards. Another person, Jan, she's a storyteller. She's now selling candles. Another person I know, she's making candles from beeswax, like, not homeopathic, but natural candle wax, beeswax.
Mm.
So I'm just saying that people are making jewelry. So people are just finding other ways to make an income right now, and they're asserting their identity in a practical way. Whereas you've got other people who have lost their jobs, who are falling apart because they don't know how to survive in without the constructs around them. So I would say there could be, in one household, a shift in dynamics,
Mm.
in people asserting who they are. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making sense here, but
Aquarius,
just
Aquarius,
on
you being unique and being true to your authentic self, or finding out what it is that is unique about you, and honoring that without caring the world about who or what. You'll find Aquarius don't care what people think, because it's the sign of eccentricity, isn't it?
mm-hmm.
Aquarius are known the unique, but eccentricity means that you don't care if you look odd when you're walking down the street. You wearing completely different colors, colors that don't mix, but it makes you express who you are. You're bringing something out about something that's inward, so outward, that's inward. Um, So that's about just honoring your truth, and that's what it is. Unique Aquarius is about sense of freedom and not conforming or not being constrained to the norm in that sense.
So I suppose if that translates into relationships, if people are starting to unpack who they are because they've got time to think about it now, there's going to be parts of people's personality that's going to come up. And I've got here the Empress reversed, and but she's reversed, and the Three of Wands. Pardon me?
The card for a longer period of time. Mm-hmm.
So she's Taurus, ruled by Taurus, this card, and Venus, and art, beauty, you know, she's, but also the whole thing with the Empress is that's that whole thing of feeling abundant within yourself. It's the ability to manifest and make what you want, to create anything you want. Manifestation, things manifest through you. You're feeling abundant in yourself. But I think there's restrictions that are being felt. Because the Three of Wands the Empress was reversed, the Three of Wands was upright. So there's an impatience for this manifesting to come about, to feel whole, to feel like particularly all in your body. And I'm just thinking that impatience, I can see how it's going to cause conflict in relationships, because you were talking about, just going back to what you were saying about the sun, Valentine's Day is with the sun in Aquarius. And I'm anticipating around that new moon time that, you know, there could be some tension in relationships, purely based on the fact of people wanting to assert their identity a little bit more as they're reassessing what their relationships mean to them. And just like the physical, being under physical circumstances of being in each other's faces the whole time, you know. So I would personally advise people to have a lot more patience at this moment in time with their people around them, who their people, how they connect with their people. Everybody's under it right now. What's happening with Saturn at the moment? What's happening with Saturn in Aquarius? What have you got going on?
Saturn. Well, that's most of the planets have moved away from Saturn actually, but Venus is the closest still. So Venus, you know, today the moon and the conjuncting Saturn. So just before the full moon, it was the day before the full moon was about being in tune with what you're strategizing within groups, or um, um, gaining knowledge from wisdom. It could have manifested, but also conjunct Venus as well. So what's interesting as well to what you're doing right now is important for December, because we got a Venus conjunct Saturn, which is a new cycle of Venus and Saturn. All these planets have a cycle. When they conjunct, when they make an alchemical connection like that, they're going through their own cycle. Some are a year, some are less than a year, some are 2 years, and some are 20 years, like this great conjunction. 20 years over 200-year air triplicity of air, conjunctions in air, great conjunctions in air. So with Saturn conjunct Venus, it's about what you're structuring and building in your relationship against the constraints that you feel that you must be you in the relationship. You mustn't compromise who you are in your uniqueness that stifle you in the relationship. You must be able to express that uniqueness in the relationship. And because it's an air sign, it's about like freely expressing and being unpredictable. So sorry about how you express that, but just being in your own particular truth and being venerated for that and being valued for that within the relationship.
And being sorry.
When it goes to we're going to go Venus in Capricorn retrograde, things that went wrong in terms of what you planned in this particular time now is going to come under some kind of stress and tension. So you need to kind of factor in what you're doing long term. It's a long term planning for stability in the relationship, but because it's squaring Uranus, it's about what it is that you are doing in you that and it's also about setting up structures for finance within the relationship. So if the financial things that you are structuring, you need to figure out how it is and going to put solid foundations in the building in tandem with relationships. It could be group economics as well, because it's the group, but it could be your personal relationships also. You know.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Because I've got here the Four of Wands. Four of Wands. The Wands is all about our ambition, our passion, our desires. The Wands are about vitality. It's got that, and it's that kind of spiritual spark of vitality as well. But the Fours are all about stability. They're all about foundation. What's foundational? Having a system in place that is through trial and error, through making mistakes, through making hard and important decisions. The Fours are about what sticks and what stays in place and what works, and being able to celebrate that. So we want that in our partnerships. We want that in our business. We want stability. We want foundation building, and it's the same for our relationships as well. However, I do have the Knight of Wands and the Three of this is under Saturn. Looking at responsibility to each other and restrictions, but I've got the Three of Swords and the Knight of Wands. So the Three of Swords is about like heartache, distress, again. This is arguments and conflicts again. But this is words that have been said, things that have been said. And the Knight of Wands is about having that bold. It's like a bodaciousness is what I want to say, but it can be a boldness. It can be
the English like cocky, innit? A cocky. The English say cocky, a cockiness.
You need a cockiness. Yeah, it's a cockiness, definitely. It's a self-confidence. It's like an internal self-confidence, but it can be a bit thoughtless. It can be a bit like, because it's a bit entitled in some ways. It's a bit bullyish as well, to just charge through and just to get what you want, and it can cause some kind of the heartache that but basically when I say heartache, it's the strife. The word is strife that can destabilize this Four of Wands energy. So again, I think it's about taking the best part of these two cards and using that kind of diplomatic side of Aquarius, the kind of the humanitarian that wants to keep the peace so that things can not being frightened to rebel, but also to make sure that it's done in a what's the word I'm looking for, done in a sound not civilized but reasonable. There's a reason, that rationality to it, rationality that which serves the Aquarian energy. There's a rationality to it, So to make the best use of this night, that's the activist. That's the activist that goes in for the good, you know. So in a way that's healing as well. So that's just turning these cards upright rather than being reversed, just having them positively aspected, so that serves the Four of Wands, the foundation that we're trying to build. So I mean, like, that's an energy that really can translate in every single area of our lives. It's just like, how are we building things that are stable in such a changing and shifting times?
Okay. So yeah, going on, moving on. What we have is on this. We have on the 15th. We have a Chiron in Aries, Moon in Aries, and the Saturn. So it's also like about. Funny enough, you're talking about the King of Wands, a boldness, putting away your insecurities and your troubles that stop you from self-sabotage, if you like, what stop you from having confidence and esteem about being bold and going forward and initiating, just getting rid of all of your excess that stop you from climbing towards your lofty goals that you want to attain, that are very important, that to do with real attainment of your lofty goals, but your sense of achievement of kind of like what your purpose is and what you want to be known for, and like like the pinnacle of what it is that you're working towards. Like, just get rid of anything that's stopping you from having the confidence in terms of baggage that you've been carrying from whatsoever. Like, have a conversation with yourself about what that is, and um, go out and release some endorphins, and give yourself some particular challenges, um, and identify what those is, and set yourself some targets and some goals around that. That's a good day for that February the 15th.
With that Chiron in Aries.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's having a conversation there with Saturn, and the moon is activating it there. And the 14th, oh, Valentine's Day, so we skipped that. So on the 14th, we're also on the 13th, I believe, we're having this great, on the 13th of February, which is Saturday, right?
Yeah.
We got this law of attraction configuration. We got Venus conjuncting Jupiter. Venus is attraction, and Jupiter's abundance. So when they come together, that's like attracting your abundance, your growth, your luck, your finances, and your feel good factor in order to create and manifest what Venus wants to manifest, right? So so that's a great magical day, is the 12th, in terms of like being in tune with what it is that you are silently, inwardly, and I say inwardly, like going within to manifest into the world. That is what you want to be focused on with this new moon, like with that configuration, especially like in the unfolding of this particular cycle. And that's to do with Aquarius is the star card, so it's to do with how you are projecting the wish that you are wishing, the star that you are wishing upon. So that is something to be like central in your focus.
Mm.
The 14th, which is Valentine's Day, that's like this is like watching out for uh, exaggerated what can I say? Well, how did I word it? Exaggerated words of affection that are garnered towards making you act on impulse. So it's like the words that is going to be said are going to be affectionate, but they're going to be targeted towards getting you to react on impulse. That could be spending money, you know what I mean, based upon a false claim, or it could be
Okay.
lot different things, but in order to make you act in a sense of immediacy. Could be a con artist, you know,
Okay.
nothings that murmur into, you know, but it's a little bit
Interesting.
trickster element, boosting you up.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because with Jupiter, I've pulled the Magician reversed and the Ace of Cups reversed.
Right.
So I really like this deck because it doesn't Magician is usually a man, right?
Right.
But in this deck, it's very diverse. There's lots of people, lots of different cultures. It's got men and playing traditional women's roles in the Rider-Waite and vice versa, women in traditional roles, because it's basically they're looking at the archetypal energies of the cards.
Mm-hmm.
The gender doesn't matter, the race doesn't matter. It's the archetypal energy. But anyway, you've got the Magician, but they're both reversed. And the Magician reverse is your archetypal con man. Actually, you can see she's got a mask there, right?
Mm-hmm.
She got a mask.
This is in disguise of some kind. Right.
Yeah, in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
But that Magician energy it's as above, so below. That's your usual Magician stock response when you think about the Magician card, as above, so below. So what is divined is whatever it is that is divine, whatever is in the kind of the unconscious can be made manifest through the Magician's intent, the will, our sheer will, and our ability to believe that we can make anything happen.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where we believe it so much that we will impose that will onto others.
Mm-hmm.
And we hopefully, you know, with the Ace of Cups upright, it's coming from a place of like universal fraternal love and appreciation and respect and wanting the best and for contentment and for love, basically, universal love. But when that's reversed and in Jupiter, you know, that could be things that are said to deceive people, to pull the wool over people's eyes, to get what you want. And that's with this Jupiter energy, so it could be amplified. So yeah, I was just kind of like enforcing what it was that you were just saying previously.
Well, it's like we always talk about how the planet and the tarot and the planet
Yeah.
planets reflect one another, and even though we're doing things how they relate to people personally, but we also about world events or unfolding of what's happening for the collective globally or in particular countries where there's a particular focus set of circumstances coming about. But the cosmic energy and the what's revealed through the tarot always mirror one another.
Yeah. I mean, this is a time of you know, Magician's ruled by Mercury, right? So that would be the news, that would be information coming to us, like how are we being deceived, how are we, even more so now, when you were talking about social media as well, what's the truth, what's the lies that's coming through social media to make us react in particular ways.
But there's all this thing about like they're gonna have to buy the news, like Facebook or Twitter or whoever. They got this thing where they have to buy the news, but what it means is that they are being regulated about what they can say and what they can't say by them saying they have to buy the news. So yeah, you can. That means that you're only going to broadcast whatever is in the news. Because really, when you look at it, when you go on the train, back in the day when you went on the train, everybody had a newspaper, you know what I mean? Like everyone had one in their briefcase, a builder had one in his back pocket or whatever, you know. And if you got the broadsheets to the tabloid rags or whatever. But when you went on that train, 70% were reading a paper of some ilk. Now you don't see nobody reading a paper; they're in their phone. Or if they are reading a paper, they're reading the free ones, where they make their money based on it because it's free. Is their advertising? And when you go to the store, none of the newspapers is sold out. There's as much newspaper at the end of the day as there was in the beginning of the day. So that means all these newspaper companies should be out of business. Why are they still in business if they're not making money? There was a drama series called The Press that came out on the BBC. And they had a character there that was played, the same guy that played in The Bank Job with the Michael X movie, who played like a Rackman character. I forgot his name. He was playing a mogul, kind of like a Robert Maxwell character that would dictate to the editor, but the mogul was being dictated. They didn't. It was like, but the mogul was being dictated by MI5,
right,
and MI6. So the newspaper, you know, it's there to put an agenda forward that, because what they do, they keep everybody in line. You know, they have dirt on everybody, right? That's what that guy Max Clifford was about. He had all of the secrets of everybody, and he was a fixer, right? If you get in trouble, if there's a bad story coming out about you that's going to compromise you and spoil your coins, meaning that it's going to defame you, and then through that defamation, your stock of your celebrity, your fame is going to go down the pan.
Yeah.
They go to Max Clifford, and Max Clifford is the fixer now to negotiate how the agents present you in the story.
Interesting.
But Max Clifford had the scandal, and when all of this stuff happened with Jimmy Savile and all of that, and all of these, basically what's happening in America with that, what's that Maxwell's daughter's name? I forget her name. The one with
Ghislaine.
What's happening with Ghislaine Maxwell is the same thing that happened 2012 with Jimmy Savile and Max Clifford.
Right.
But it happened here. So they were the gatekeepers to who gets on, who gets a pass, who don't get a pass. So if a politician's in a scandal, first thing they say is, we got this dirt on you. You either yield, we're going to cash in our ticket on you now.
Right.
Or if you don't yield, this comes out in the press and your career is kaput. You lost your wife, you lost your kids, You lost your grandma, gone.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
they need these agents, or they need this network of, what do you call it, the network of world disseminators of information, in order to control society, or in order to control the narrative of how the people are being conditioned, because people only remember the headlines, they don't
Mm,
remember the stories. It's the
mm,
headline that's the programming, that in the newspaper, when you see the front page or the headline, that is what people remember 10 years later. They don't remember the story. That's the programming. So all of these newspapers should be out of business,
mm.
based upon no one's reading them.
True. That's really interesting. I mean, just off the back of that, like I said, the magician is the is Mercury, and pulling on manipulating people's emotions to get a rise out of them. Well, with the Mercury cards in this deck here, wow, Mercury cards. I pulled Temperance reversed. That's you can see the Centaur,
Yeah.
Sagittarius Centaur with Temperance.
Mm-hmm.
That's reversed with the Seven of Cups.
Mm-hmm.
And the Seven of Cups is about illusions. And the choice is about, it's like being overwhelmed with all of these different options about what's real and what's not real. Mercury, again, we were talking about media, information, the news. So, and Temperance is about moderation. So it's about extremes as well. So like the extremes of news, the extremes of illusions that are spun for us.
Right.
I mean, like if you think about it, the atmosphere, the climate that we're in right now is it's a bed that is ripe for planting all kinds of illusions and misconceptions and stuff like that. This is why I think it is about, we really have to go with our heart. We have to use our heart as if it's a second brain, our heart and our gut as if it's a second brain, because we can't trust the constructs of our minds anymore. We've been programmed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We've been programmed to believe.
Blurred. Everything's blurred. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've been programmed to believe these contracts. We got from the ages of 4 in this country, we're sent to school. Our parents no longer are inputting into our brain.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's the state. So from the age of 4, that kind of impressionable age, whereas in other countries like Sweden or I think it's Sweden, Switzerland maybe, they're not sending kids to school, to primary school, to the age of 6 and 7. They get to have a childhood.
Right.
But we start at 4, programming about, you're supposed to go to work, go to school, come out of school, go to university, college, university, get a job, and you'll be fine. That's an absolute lie. And we know that now.
Right.
And it's evidence in itself with this whole lockdown business. So I think this climate is literally, it's fertile for planting seeds of illusions, or because the mind is so set in the old constructs, the old grooves and the old constructs. There was never any normal. It was just somebody else's imaginations. It was a Conservative Labour Party, the bi-party kind of like voting system. It was their illusion. It was their imagination. Now we have to go into our own imagination and pull up, the Aquarian, the eccentricities of who we are, being able to be outgoing in our thinking and construct a world that we want to see, where we, like you said, finding our tribe. outside of these constructs, man, because we're getting all of these extremes of ideas. So we've got to trust our heart and our guts now, you know, and trust our connection with others a better, which means we're going to have to filter people out. We have to filter energies out that just aren't serving us. And we've got to be real, but we also have to be very patient with ourselves and with each other. Feel it all out. Just feel it all out and take our time. It feels urgent, but we have to take our time.
That's important under this audit of Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, I believe. And it's interesting that Mercury's come to visit all these planets. Audit, like, make you think about all these energies, you know what I'm saying, in the sign. It's just like almost like clearing out all the stuff that's stopping you from manifesting the great stuff, to get it all out, clear out the space to make room. Yeah. Because this great conjunction is marking 20 years. So what you're doing now, what you're planning now, and what you're initiating now is to set you up for 20 years cycle of a generation. And then it's also to do with a 200 years cycle within that 220 years. So it's stuff beyond our lifetime even. So that it's a crucial concentrated focus. You know, when the universe says there's 6 planets in a sign, and they're personal planets in terms of visible planets, meaning that they're having an effect on each individual. That's intense. That's very intense. So the regulation, like I said, of the internet and all of that. So you've been hearing creeping of that in the news, and you're going to hear a lot more about that on the audit of that 14th, 15th, 17th of February. On the 18th now, the Sun moves into Pisces. So there's a shift and emphasis now in terms of initiating some Piscean energy coming into play, and it's going to start unfolding into a kind of core focus around the imagination of how it is that we are attaining our ideals, and our ideals, what we dream about, and how it is that we are shaping these things, and bringing more focus and energy into the imagined world, and spirituality, and how it is that we are practicing our spirituality, because that full moon is going to be on the opposite sign in Virgo. So there's a concentration now, as well as Aquarian energy unfolding. It's also about this story between the imagined and what's real. Yeah, like I was saying the other day, like Pisces says, all we need is love. And then Virgo says, well, you know, why do we need love? How are we going to go about attaining love? And where do we find it? And how do we bring it into our life?
Right.
You know, that's a major difference. It's like, okay, you want this imagined world, but Virgo says, well, you can have it, but you have to really know what it is that you want, and you have to be able to identify what that is, and be meticulous about it. Otherwise, it's not going to be imagined.
Yeah, that's the work, right?
Yeah, the process. Process.
Yeah. That's the work. That's the process. That's the work. That's that Three of Wands energy I was talking about. It's going to take time, and you're going to have to make a bunch of tricky decisions, difficult decisions. There's going to be a lot of internal conflicts. That's going to be in the head and in the heart. You're going to have, I'm repeating myself, but the work is going to be about, it's all very well and good wanting to just skip through the skip through the daisies, you know, and expect unicorns to come bounding over the hillside. But the point of the matter is, you know, we've got to make ourselves feel safe. We've got to make ourselves feel secure when it comes to resources, safer with people who are around us. We're secure when it comes to our resources. We have to create physical, material spaces for that love to exist in. You know, for even building that security as an act of love, you know. It's going to be hard work. It's going to be hard work, but I think I'm not trying to like make it be all doom and gloom about it, or say that or make people kind of shy away from it, because I think this is really about, and it's going to sound really corny, this is about tenacity of spirit, and it's about character building and stuff like that. But I think there's something really enjoyable. I've been a freelance artist for like 27 years, and you know, there's something about having a sense of agency, like I'm in control of my life. I create my opportunities. And I know so many entrepreneurs who are doing that. And then, like I said, they're taking advantage of this whole internet universe now. And having a sense of agency and power they've never had before, you know, but realizing that you've got to sit down, you've got to knuckle down and do the hard work of creating the systems, creating the courses, creating the shop front, creating the banking or the banking systems to make it all so your money is flowing nicely through to you. And it's an act of self-love when you do that, like respecting yourself, a sense of agency, respect for yourself. And I think that's what the age of Aquarius is about. It's about the new consciousness. Is about, I see myself as way bigger than these constructs that have fed me, like, you know, you are your things, you are your new car, you are your new clothes, you are that. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I'm more than that.
There's a saying that comes to mind that somebody told me years and years ago, when they was painting my flat. It was just like, the reason why we ain't got anything, or the reason why we so poor, he goes, because we're too busy working.
Right.
You know, the reason why we because what he's saying is you're servicing, you're in servitude to something and somebody else. And you have your dreams and you have your ambitions or whatever, but they die because they die a lot of the time because either, you know, you're too invested in things that keep you in the machinery, or you don't believe in yourself, or you don't devote the time in order to grow your talents, in order to have a more joyous process of experience in that. Now, what's funny with that is I think our ideals and how we work them or make them practical is something that has been what you call in the new norm and all of that. All what's happened is that we've just had time to focus on ourselves, and a lot of people don't like themselves.
Right, right.
Can't
Let's talk.
focus on
Yes,
themselves,
man.
or be silent. You know, you ever been around people? They have to have music constantly. They have to fall asleep with music in the background. They have to have music when they're cooking. They have to have music when they're having a bath. Like they cannot be in that. You know that's important, to have music and to be able to dance and bring a sense of joy into your spirit. But if you just all the time and you can't listen to that inner dialogue, you ain't got time to nurture yourself in that way. Now all you got to do is nurture yourself.
Mm.
And in this, you're not under anyone else's clock.
Mm.
You're under your own clock,
Mm.
and you're setting your own. Setting your own. And people had real ambition as well. Like they work in the job, and they got a ticket out, and then this pandemic hits or whatever, and they still don't know how to sit and nurture that ambition, because they're used to being told what to do, when to do, how to do it, and that's not what Aquarius says. We want our freedom.
Yeah.
So this is the best time, man, to build your business, to get a reading about what your true talents are, how it is that you could have joy nurturing your talent and making money, or making an income, a good income from your talent, and that way you're always, the coins are always in your pocket.
Well, you know, this day you got it. I mean, like you've got the Seeker, which is the full card in this deck, and the King of Coins, right?
Right.
And the King of Coins is like the boss man. I call him the boss man. This is the CEO card. You are the CEO, boss of you. And you can have a brand new start with that kind of thinking if you see yourself as your own boss, basically. But that also means you've got to make responsible decisions. You've got to be accountable to yourself, you know, but you've got to be able to walk light. You can't come with a bunch of baggage. The Seeker walks with just a little backpack with everything he needs from all the lessons, the life lessons that he's learned, and all the hardships that he's had in a previous life. And now he's like on a brand new journey, setting off on a brand new journey.
So his
And
worldly
but
possessions
you've
is
got,
in that bag, and he's got his worldly possessions is in that bag.
yeah, his worldly possessions, but his wisdom from
Mm.
previous, you know, previous lives, you know, putting an end to, because to have a new start, you have to have an end, right? You walk through one door and you enter, you have to leave one room and you walk through a door, you're in another room, but you've had to leave something before you can get into something else, right? So you have to leave something behind. But you have to walk as if you're the boss. You do. You got to be the boss of you. But you got to travel light. You can't walk with no baggage, you know, and have a sense of possibility. So I just wanted to pull that. These cards here, they're just speaking to having a sense of purpose, a sense of purpose, and having knowing what you believe in, and doing it with a kind of an emotional stability that's not rooted in ego, but in like, you know what, shit happens, I've grown, I've matured, and now I can see the world with much more mature eyes, emotionally mature eyes, and with a sense of purpose. But you've got to be the boss of you. You've got to think that way and be accountable for your actions. So you've got to make the right choices. You've got to think about other people. The boss man, all his employees are happy because that's how he makes sure his coin is rolling in.
Mm-hmm.
If his employees are happy, you know, he gets to give them a bonus. They want to work for him more, make him more money. Do you know what I'm saying? So you've got to take care of everything, even though you're going in there like as the head of something. You know, good leaders eat last, they say.
Right.
You know, they'll take care of your people, and they'll take care of you.
Right. It's a nice crossover time, man. It's like you can fade one out and fade in the other, like you're mixing two records together.
Yeah.
It can be as seemingly as that if if you use this time wisely, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So honor you and find like-minded people whilst you're doing that to align yourself with, you know. So
Yeah.
another exercise that might be good around the 20th and the 21st is to write that exactly like how you want it to play out. And you can write it in a story. You can write it, you can put yourself in a fictional story and see your thing play out in the story how you want it to manifest itself. That would be a good exercise to do in terms of destiny, fate, and meet opportunity for you. You know, 20th, 21st. That's a good opportunity for a writing exercise that's aligned to where your abundance, where your growth is, where your sense of value around what your future direction is, right? So you can write yourself a nice fictional story around and putting yourself in a mythos of your own success.
Mm.
And reading that story and seeing how, you know, that's a good little trick there. February 21st, 23rd is a psychic sensitive day. It's a day for downloads. That's a day for downloads. It's a psychic sensitive day where you can just absorb and being in your sense of fantasy in that sense. What else is there? On the 25th, on the 25th, on the 25th, oh yeah, 24th, sorry, opposing Saturn trine in Chiron. Yeah, so that's like so yeah, that's like don't get yourself in a kind of sunken place emotionally. That's like use some kind of creative expression and be bold and assertive, and maybe you do something energetically like some kind of exercise to inject some kind of energy and endorphins around. Like there's a lot of kind of the melancholy energy that day, so you need to be aware of how to kind of shake yourself out of an emotional funk.
Why is that happening?
Well, you got Saturn, which is more heavy energy, and you got opposing the moon. So it could be,
Right.
yeah, it could be like a lack of emotional balance, um, or emotional connection to how you're feeling and not necessarily knowing why at that particular time. It could be things around like could be difficulty with how the children are expressing themselves, especially with a lot of people with the children at home in the homeschooling, and the children in this parents' time and space a lot, and the parents in the children's time and space. That could be getting people down that in that particular time, just feeling like burdened by it all. and the children feeling stuck.
Right, I see.
They can't go outside and play and do things that they would do just to be able to express themselves. So that might be a time where you have to monitor your children's emotions as well. And that might be more particular for children, or how the parent is relating to the child.
Okay.
And then on the 25th, Venus goes into Pisces, which is a whole other shift around idealism in relationships. But Virgo moon is coming to say, whoa, hold on a minute. Like, what this, like basically the full moon in Pisces is coming to audit, not audit as such, but coming to keep in check your ideals and make sure that they're grounded and they're not too lofty, or they're not too abstract, but you have a sense of how it is that you're going to attain your lofty ideals. But don't be surprised if you come under heavy criticism for being vague and not knowing how it is that you want to shape your relationship, or how it is that you're maintaining your relationship. The full moon is going to bring up some awareness and some revelations around people in the workplace, and matters around health. So those things is going to be a little bit prominent around the full moon time, which is February the 27th. February 26th into the 27th, we're talking about that.
Right.
But 27th is the full moon, and all of this is going to be rising towards a full moon. So a few days before, you're going to notice these themes coming into play. And the apex of all of that is in and around the full moon. So that was a short, long forecast, wasn't it? That was a long, short one.
Lots to talk about. Long, short one. Lots to talk about. Lots to talk about.
Jesus, we've been on.
Lots to talk about. I mean, how long?
I don't know. It's just ridiculous.
2 hours.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
About an hour and a half, I think, maybe. Which is okay. You know, I mean, this is an important year. All of the moons are going to mean something. You see how fast a year goes by?
Yeah.
Like, we've been in lockdown we'll be in lockdown on the 26th of March, or the 24th of March, no, 26th of March officially in the UK will be a year.
Let's find another way to say that. Lockdown.
Yeah, I know, it sounds rough, but.
Yeah, let's say, so a lock is Saturn, right? And down is like.
Right.
I'm free up. I mean, freed up.
You've been freed up?
Yeah, because
okay,
if you're locked inside, if you're in a prison, you could be mentally free because you never had time to consider what you was doing, why you was doing it. All of a sudden you're in seclusion, right? So that allowed the time and the space to be free, to learn, to be free of any dogma, any ideologies that are restricting you, working on somebody else's clock. Well, if you're locked up, that's difficult. But in this sense, it's just like it's giving you the time to discover yourself from a lot more deeper aspect, and to know who you are from all aspects. Actually, that's another thing. I created some products, man. I'm not even selling myself properly. Hold on, let me get my
Sell yourself.
together, man.
I mean, you're right. You're right about lockdown or freed up. I mean, if you can still hear me while you're on your mission there, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So, how many people were saying, like, you know, I know the amount of times and I'm freelance. I know the amount of time I found myself saying, I just want to get off the ride, man. I wish it would just stop for a minute so that I can just regroup and work out exactly where it is I'm going. And there's no reflection time. I need some time to just think. You know, well, this is it. This was the time. The ride stopped, and we never, ever, 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 ever thought that it would ever stop.
Yeah, the world,
It,
as we, it's like we've been reading about this apocalypse for how long? We're in the apocalypse.
mm,
What did Busta Rhymes call his album? Extinction Level Event 2.
right.
We're in the apocalypse, man, and we're post-apocalypse. You know what I'm saying? We're in the book of Eli, and we're walking across that bridge. And some made it, and some never made it. You gotta make up your mind that you've crossed that bridge, man. You got the Bible, and you got the keys, and you knew how to survive that shit. But you had to journey and come across all kind of madness. But you got to that bridge, and so yeah, in the lockdown, the first lockdown, I made product. I made elderberry syrup, astrologically formulated, and I made one for hay fever, but this one's got a different concoction of herbs in it. It's on my website, and this one has got a different concoction of herbs for the immune system. So this is immune system support booster. You know, I just got to put my labels on shit and it look nice and tight. And then this one is for the hay fever. Then I also made.
Okay, I don't know. Just hold on a sec, just for a second, because I don't know if it was my signal. Normally it says my signal is unstable. But repeat that again. Say it again.
So all of it.
Sorry, it's just that you blocked out. We want people to hear what you got going on there.
This here, I ship it out to you. And this here is elderberry.
It's happening again. You're frozen, man.
This is an elderberry for the immune system. Immune system support. This one is for the hay fever, but it's got elderberry in it. And this, I've got great reports on both of them. But people who had hay fever for 15 years came from Trinidad and had it every year, and boom, you don't have it no more.
Okay.
Now, these were astrologically formulated on my magical time to create that medicine. But I created another medicine. This is a tincture, and I've been getting this one ready for 9 months. This is some herbs. I'll talk about this another time, but this one, when I let you know that this is something special, but it's to do with kickstarting a part of you that has died. And that's what I would say, because you got too much people trying to bite my shit. So I don't be talking shit until it's ready to pop up.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So you got to keep them peeled until such time. So yeah, and then if you want the astrological reading, I do about 13 or 14 different kind of readings. So you can fill your boots up You can get a reading for your solar chart, your annual reading. You can get a reading for what type of business you want to do. If you're not sure, we can explore what those possibilities are, what your talents are, what your purpose is, how to align with that. You might want a chart about your child, how to bring out their best potential, or you might want to time something that you're doing that's very important. You might start a creative project, and you want to elect the time to initiate it or to start the operation of the business, the best opportune time. You might want to travel, or you might want to promote your business in a particular country. Which countries are best and why? That's a whole nother mystical aspect of astrology. You might want a reading about purchasing a home. You might want a reading about which which racehorse to put your money in.
Really? Okay.
Is Manchester United gonna beat Manchester City? Like, you want to put your dollars on it? You feel lucky? No, that's not a joke. You know, there's a time when your luck is in, when there's a frequency for luck.
Right.
If your luck is in and you feel it, like I said, the woman was on her deathbed and she was in a coma, and she came back, and the hospital staff was astounded. So when she woke up the coma, the first thing she said to her daughter, "It's our lucky day. Let's go up the road there." She was in a hospital bed and got her daughter to get a lottery ticket. She won the lottery. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Frequency of luck was in.
Right.
I might be exaggerating. I might be exaggerating the point excessively.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that frequency of luck is for real.
Okay.
Your relationship reading, you know what I'm saying, synastry reading, compatibility reading. Like, when you meet someone, you're meant to look at your clock. You know what I'm saying? Like, what time did we meet? What time did we go on our first date? What day was it? What time was it? And I'll tell you what the relationship is about. What problems encounter, how to navigate those things. Kind of things you want to look out for is good communication between you all, and a good relationship between the feminine and masculine aspects. A nice alchemical balance.
Right.
The easiest path for less resistance. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Some relationships, they're just too much hard work, and unless you're highly evolved, you know what I mean, you might be difficult to swerve that one. And then one day you might meet somebody who's more aligned to you, and you just go with that person because they're more aligned to you. That's it. That relationship that you was in wasn't that strong as you thought it was.
What's meant for you is meant for you, right?
Yeah.
Same here. I don't usually plug myself when it comes to readings, but yeah, elemental readings, planetary readings, relationship readings, work readings. Yeah, just what's your question? I can do a couple of I can do a 3-card reading for you. I can do a full spread for you, hour-long reading, 20-minute reading. You can find all of my details on poetstarotcorner.com, but we'll put all of that put all the details in the description box and everything. So.
Well, and one last question: what do you think is the strength of tarot to other divination systems? What advantage does tarot give than, say, other divination systems that you are aware of?
I'm going to just speak for myself and my experience of tarot. I can't really say that it's got anything over anything. I think it's about what works for you. but I know for myself, like my artists, the artist in me is very much turned on by images, by particular types of images. I've got particular taste. Particular vibes of cards really speak to me. So my intuition gets sparked. Like one day I might be looking, I don't know, I might be looking at this card, and one day I might look at the way the man is looking at the kids, and another day I might be just looking at this child here because of the type of question. No, I might just look at the house and the atmosphere back there because that's what my intuition is drawn to based on the type of question. So the images it's about how your intuition gets sparked. It's about how a divination tool speaks to you. But also, obviously, embedded in it, particularly the historical narrative of Pamela Coleman Smith and her being able to take the tarot development from the Golden Dawn and turn it into this Rider-Waite with the and the Marseille as well, the Tarot of the Marseille, the French, the Italian Tarot of the Marseille, and turn it into these images.
Pictorial symbology.
Yeah, to turn it into pictorial symbology, exactly. The work that went into that is something that I can align with. She was an artist, she was a writer, she was a theatre maker. So she had an understanding of being able to turn these images into something contemporary that the world can relate to now in terms of a system. So for me, that's why this works for me. But, I've obviously, through working with yourself and coming to understand astrology, finding out all the astrological associations of the tarot as well, super interesting. It appeals to the geek in me. But for me, it's definitely about the artwork. That's why I become an avid tarot collector as well. Artwork, vibration, symbology, esotericism when you go into the depth of it, when you really study, when you go into the study, which is something I've really, really enjoyed. And also just looking at how, people who are into esotericism, mysticism, use the tarot as a form of expression. Turn it into art as a form of expression also.
Okay.
Yes.
I think from what I observed with the tarot, it's a way to connect with your subconscious and to bring your subconscious, display what your subconscious is making an impression in your life, what's going on in your life archetypally, that's playing out by these particularly kind of titanic struggles that are issues around destiny and fate. But because you're involved in the narrative of your own life, playing out as a mythological story, when you go into the tarot, it taps into your subconscious of things that you are not aware on the surface of, how subtle and how the veil gets drawn.
Yeah.
You can see what's happening when the veil is closed.
Yeah.
It allows you a window into your own subconscious to be able to examine the deeper questions of why these things are happening in your personal story unfolding in your life.
Yeah.
Astrology has an advantage for me because when I say an advantage, not the thing I like about astrology is that that circle, that wheel, can be read and mathematically uncoded precisely to a time and a day and a place that something is going to manifest or happen. And if you know how to predict with math, it can down to the minutia of the detail. But you know, I've got several tarot decks, nowhere as much as you, of course, but I like to utilize them to have conversations in a way that I can unpack subconsciously what's happening in a kind of fluid way and get into languages. And why I like tarot decks as well, because I learn about whole other, you know, like I want to learn about the King Arthur and the whole myth around the Arthur story and the knights and the Round Table and Guinevere, and which is just another way of the whole ancient Egypt mythology. Then you want to learn about the ancient Greek mythology, the Spartan, whatever you want to call it, and then you want to learn about what else? The Olmec mythos. You know, you got tarot on that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like a whole way in of all the mythos and the archetypes. They all correlate. It's a whole way in into understanding what's happening in my life, like a mythological story, kind of just being played out.
I'm so with you on that. I mean, I think when I came to understand how deeply embedded astrology is within tarot, and then looking at how people were using the archetypes to code, if you like, to code what's happening in the stars in the images, and then just getting into the idea of the mysticism. Like I said, talk about the mysticism, the esotericism, the journey of the fool. You know, the whole idea of us being these like souls, these spirits who are on this material spiritual journey. This is very much part of my spiritual practice as well. I believe in that. In my ancestors, that they're walking with me. They help me as a communication tool between them. Also, just quickly, you know, I throw tarot cards every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Now I'm looking a lot more at what's happening in the stars at the same time. When I'm pulling the cards, looking at numerology, what's happening with the cards numerologically, and having, like I said, because they cut across all different cultures as well. Like everybody's making a tarot deck, which in some ways, I know we've had conversations about this before. You know, like how does it stay sacred if everybody's making a deck? You know, but that's another conversation for another time.
Bedtime,
because we're doing this at like, well, it's been a long day. You've had a long day. I've had a long day. It's nearly 2 o'clock in the morning. So yeah.
The passion, right?
Yeah, the passion, for real.
Okay. I'm going to stop the recording.
Good night.